Lifetime Achievement Award, a broadcasting legend, and a Lifetime Achievement Emmy Award honoree in his own right. The host of Larry King Now, and for 25 years, the host of Larry King Live on CNN, Larry King.
Thank you very much. What a night. You know, when I think of Ted Turner, a few words come to mind. First is visionary. One of my favorite definitions of the word visionary is this quotation. I don't even know who said it, but it's a bullseye. A visionary is what we call successful people who were wise enough to listen when we called them delusional. And I also like Mahatma Gandhi's take on the word, you must be the change you wish to see in the world. Let me tell you a story about Ted's vision working on a very personal level. It's how it came to hire me. It goes back to 1985. I'm doing my all-night radio show on the Mutual Network. I'm very happy. I got a lot of things going for me. I get a call from Ted. Now, I knew Ted from the Atlanta Braves, the Turner Broadcasting System. He'd been a guest on my radio show, and he was 5 years into getting CNN off the ground. People called it the Chicken Noodle Network. The cable infrastructure wasn't fully set up, and I couldn't get CNN in Washington, D.C., where I lived at the time. So he asked me if I wanted to take the 9 o'clock show. This is on a Tuesday. The person doing the show has a contract that's up on Friday. Naturally, Ted needs me to make a decision, like, immediately. That was Ted. Naturally, this all caught me off guard. I was living in Washington. I really liked my life. I was single. I was going to Oriole games in the evening before the start of my all-night radio show, having a hell of a time. And I really didn't see where Ted's network was going. I didn't have what he had, his vision. Looking back, it was much more of a risk for me to join CNN than it was for him to hire me. I had no idea what it would be like. But it's hard to line up guests when people don't even know how they can tune into the show. Anyway, I told Ted my agent was the great Bob Wolf, the first sports agent. Ted liked that. Bob was the sports agent, and Ted had negotiated deals with him. So Ted said, have Bob call me tomorrow. No, have him call me now. So I called Bob at home in Boston. Bob called Ted, and Bob calls me back. You know what Bob said? He said, Larry, roll the dice with this guy. And I did, because that's another definition of a visionary. Somebody you want to roll the dice on. As you watch this video from Tom Brokaw, you'll see what happens when you roll the dice with Ted Turner.
Ted, old friend, I'm so sorry I can't be there with you tonight, but you do know that I am there in spirit. I just want to say to you and to everyone gathered in the room what to me is the most obvious. When they come to write the long history of American journalism, your name should be in bold print, for the invention of CNN was an astonishing breakthrough. Suddenly, you had access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to journalism, not just in this country, but around the world. No one had ever done what you did when you invented CNN, which was to reach out to countries, not just the major powers, but third world countries as well, to let them know that they would have a voice, and just as important, that they would have access to the news of the world that could affect them. Moreover, as your friend, I'm also keenly aware of your many other interests. You're a great ecologist, now a restaurateur. You're the bison king, not just of America, but of the world. What I love about many of your vehicles is that they have a bumper sticker that says, I brake for everyone, save the world. So Ted, this honor is long overdue. Again, I'm sorry I can't be there, but pal, you know that we'll see each other along the way.
I mentioned the word visionary to describe Ted, but there's another word I'd like to bring up that gets to the core of Ted Turner, and that's loyalty. Loyalty. My one word was prerequisite in life. What's my definition of loyalty? Again, I don't know where this quote came from, but I like it. I reserve my loyalty for those who not make me question theirs. Then you have Confucius, who said, hold faithfulness and sincerity as first principles. Let me tell you about Ted Turner, loyalty style. The year my show started, 1985, Gorbachev had become head of the Soviet Union. A couple of years after that, Ronald Reagan was in Berlin asking Gorbachev, tear down the wall. Viewers around the world were watching it, all analyzing it on my show every night. And the ratings were going through the roof. A window came up in my contract. I couldn't have been in a better bargaining position. Bob Wolf was once again doing the negotiating, and he got two great offers for me. One from Rue Lardage at ABC, the others from the King brothers, who started the Oprah Winfrey Show. They ran King World. The money from each of those offers was much greater than what Ted was paying me. So Bob and I discussed the two other options. I couldn't decide which one I was going to take. The negotiating window was set to close. I got really nervous. Bob flew down to Atlanta. I flew to California. I get to sleep. I was so nervous I couldn't sleep because I knew Bob is meeting with Ted in Atlanta to tell him that I'm going to leave. It's hard to leave a place that feels like home, especially after Ted was so supportive during my open heart surgery. But Bob had worked hard lining up these two offers, and they were for a lot more than I was getting at CNN. 6 in the morning, California time, the phone rings. It is Ted. He's on a speakerphone. Bob is right there. And Ted says, he tells me you're leaving. I hear Bob yelling, this is unethical. Ted yells, the hell with ethics. This has nothing to do with ethics. Larry, listen to me. Here's what I want you to do. It's very simple. Just say goodbye, Ted. Say goodbye, Ted, and we're friends. You start a new job, whatever job you take, nobody's angry. The reason I'm calling is I want you to say it to me. Say goodbye, Ted. I want you to hear us say goodbye. I stood there in my underwear, my telephone to my ear, and nothing could come out of my mouth. Ted waited and waited, the room filled with silence. You can't say it, Ted said. You can't say it. I hear Bob Wolf in the background going, this is crazy. Ted then says, here's what I'm going to do. Because you're loyal to me, I'm going to give you the same money you'd get from those other offers 1 year from today. I'm spending right now, and I don't have the money to give you today, but I'll give you the money 1 year from today. Write the date down. You're staying with me. That was Ted Turner, the best person I ever worked for. A man who always had your back. A man who always answered your questions immediately. Ted never said, I'll get back to you. A man who went through walls for you. A man who made you want to go through walls for him. It was this combination of his vision, the execution of that vision, and his loyalty that turned CNN into the powerhouse that it became. So when you add up the definitions of vision, trust, and loyalty, three great concepts, you get the full scope of Ted's life and this next video. And you will understand exactly why Ted is being honored tonight with an award that is way long overdue. Watch.
The best financial advice would have been not to start
Oh,
a
of
cable
course.
news network.
I got plenty of that. The best advice is never to do anything. You'll never get in trouble if you don't do anything. But on the other hand, you'll never get anywhere either. You know. We gotta go fast as we can here.
What he has done is staggering.
The team of the 90s.
He put the Atlanta Braves organization on the map.
I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
He was cable when cable wasn't cool.
Dad calls it his Turnerverse.
Perhaps the number one environmentalist that I've ever known.
People thought he was crazy.
This news service will be called the Cable News Network.
He saw tomorrow.
I still made a lot of money and had a lot of fun, too.
Let me tell you all about it now.
We changed the name of Turner Communications to the Turner Broadcasting System.
It was a broken down UHF television station in Atlanta, television at its basest form.
It was wrestling, creature features late at night, and then he brought the Braves.
Come see the big league team of Little League Spirit, and hey, we're in Atlanta.
We didn't see the future like Ted did.
He began to tell me about how he was going to transform UHF television into satellite television.
When the Superstation came along, no matter where you went. Hey, we watch the games all the time in Idaho.
He's been a peacemaker through sports.
Is there a reason we can't break down this wall between the U.S. and the Soviet Union? How about using sports to do that?
It's all over, baby!
Well, after the America's Cup, we finally won. Ted turns to me in the middle of this melee and says, we have proven to people that if we can do this, we can do many other things. 3 years later, he founded CNN.
Behind me, you can see our new cable news network headquarters.
I think it's fair to say that Ted Turner literally changed the world when he came up with his concept of a 24/7 cable news channel.
You can do so much more in 24 hours.
Most of my colleagues thought Ted was nuts.
Barring satellite problems in the future, we won't be signing off until the world ends. We'll be on, we will cover it live.
People did look upon that as a foolish idea that was destined for failure.
I dedicate the news channel for America, the Cable News Network.
Stand by, ready, 3, take 3, Mike Hewer.
Good evening, I'm David Walker.
And I'm Lois Hart. Now here's the news.
He was one of us. He would be in his house coat down having breakfast in the Hard News Cafe. Ted didn't care as much about ratings as he did about being the most trusted name in news.
We're going now back to Baghdad.
The skies over Baghdad have been illuminated. You're going to hear the bombs now. They are hitting the center of this city.
There's another launch.
Best reporting that I've seen on what transpired in Baghdad was on CNN.
CNN used to be called the little network that could. It's no longer a little network.
I express brimming gratitude to you, sir, Ted Turner, for giving the world the network of record.
Ted saw that. Ted saw that.
I watch CNN all the time. It's about the only thing I watch. I'm not happy with every bit of it, but I watch it. It was more than just a company to me. It was a way of life.
This is my fight.
Now he can focus on what he wants to do, and it sounds cliche, but save the planet.
These problems we have right now are global problems, and they can only be solved by everybody in the world working together.
I don't think we'll ever see another one like him again.
He broke every mold. He changed the world.
He put his money where his mouth is, and he's always had a big mouth.
I consider him to be one of my best friends.
Just a miracle. He's a miracle.
No, I've still got a lot of fire left in me.
And then to touch it all off, he gave $1 billion to the UN. Ted, the inscription on this Emmy reads, "To Robert Edward Ted Turner, a visionary whose founding and leadership of CNN, the first 24/7 global cable news network, revolutionized the world of television news." Presented this September 28, 2015 by the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. But to me, it should also add to the Gutenberg, to the Da Vinci, to the Marconi, to the Alexander Graham Bell, to the Einstein, and to the Edison of his time, the greatest figure in the 20th century in the history of television, my boss, but more important, my friend, Ted Turner.
Okay. Wow. They said this was going to be a big deal, and it really was. That was the best video I ever saw. I don't know what to say except thanks. I mean, I had the best time being a journalist. You know, I didn't go to journalism school, and I never really worked. My only experience with broadcasting journalism was CNN, which I started, and we just learned as we went along. I watched the news on other channels, so I had an idea what it was supposed to look like, you know. Anyway, we started out, and we just played it by ear as we went along. And it was so much fun and so gratifying, and I really enjoyed every moment of it. And do I miss it now? You know, on top of that, there's a book that was put out by Wharton School, and it says the 25 top businessmen of all time. And I was one of them. And I got fired. I got phased out. The management at Time Warner called me in and said, we want to offer, your contract's going to be up, and we want to give you another one. I said, well, tell me. They said, well, we'll give you $1 million a year. And I said, well, what will my duties be? And they said, nothing. Really? At least they were honest. So I said, you can take the $1 million and shove it you know where. See, we were letting people go making $40,000 a year to cut expenses, and they were going to give me $1 million to do nothing. Blech. Anyway. Anyway, but I do miss it. I really, really do. And this has been a real shot in the arm for me, and I'm probably will live a few more years because of tonight. Thank you. Thank you all.